Before we get started with this episode of what makes this guitar great and affordable, I want to apologize if I offended anybody with my southern accent and my character I portrayed in a couple videos ago. I was trying to be funny. I mean, look, I grew up in North Carolina, South Georgia, and then Alabama most of my life, so I used to have more of an accent, and so I was kind of poking fun at friends of mine who would call strings on a guitar wires. You know, you broke a wire. So I was just kind of having fun with people that I kind of know in my life. I didn't mean to offend anybody. Also, I didn't mean to say that if a guitar is too light that it can't be any good, and if it's too heavy it can't be any good. What I was trying to say is that when somebody tries to sell you on the notion that a guitar is super light, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a great sounding guitar. There are exceptions to every rule, and I wasn't really referring to Danelectros or, you know, bodies that are hollow or plastic or made out of different material. I was kind of referring to, like, you know, wood bodies, Telecasters and Stratocasters, so, and Les Pauls. Let's move on to this week's episode. This is a really fun find that I found. In my favorite pawn shop here in Los Angeles, and it's the Fender Ultra Esprit model, pre-Robben Ford signature. So I happen to remember Robben when he came to Musicians Institute back in 1985. I was a student from 85 to 86. And Robben used to come there 1 week out of every month for most of the year. I used to skip all my classes and just go sit with him, of course. So he's the guy who played from the heart, who had all the blues feel, but also had some harmonic knowledge. We used to do these little things called open counselings at Musicians Institute, where we would sit in a room and we'd just, with your favorite player, whether it's Joe Pass, Joe DiOrio. So we'd just be able to sit there and play with him, and I'd play songs with him every day, and we kind of became friends. We're acquaintances to this day. He used to play a Stratocaster when I first met him, and then he brought in this guitar. It must have looked like this, because I'm sure it didn't say Robben Ford on it yet, because this is like maybe at the end of 85, and it was a prototype still. I remember just the neck played so beautifully, and it sounded incredible. I think even then he had humbucker pickups put in it, and I'm not sure what kind of humbucker. I kind of thought they were Seymour Duncans, but I read someplace there, or maybe Rolf. I need to ask Robben this. Maybe I'll do that, but whatever. I guess the guitar line was Fender's attempt to kind of compete with Gibson. But I think there are some personnel shifts and changes through the late 80s or early 90s, and so they kind of abandoned the idea. But basically it's a set neck guitar. It's the same scale as a Gibson guitar. Got little hollow chambers in it, so it has very much a 335 sound. You still get a super nice like acoustic feel from this guitar because it's a spruce top. So acoustically, even when I'm playing a low volume clean, I can still hear the snap of the guitar off the guitar acoustically, because it's very. So I'm still hearing a lot of the actual body of the guitar when I play at low volumes or when I play jazz stuff, you know. So, what makes this guitar great? Well, there's a lot of things. I think it's beautiful. I think the design is nice. It's kind of asymmetrical. It doesn't really look like anything else Fender made, and that's kind of cool. The bindings, beautiful, like this little pinstripe binding on the body. Like I said, it has a chambered body. They made 3 different models. I think they made one, a couple with rosewood necks with different inlays. They had like little snowflake inlays. They had dot inlays. They had one called the Esprit. They had one called the Flame. And I think they all had different appointments. They originally came with 2 Schaller pickups, which always looked weird to me, and they didn't quite do it for me ever. And it came with these weird Schaller gold fine tuning tailpieces that were whatever they were, you know. I remember Robin, I don't know if he had the fine tuners on this model or not at the time. I think they were still, you know, doing the prototype back and forth. So anyway, so I walked into a pawn shop a few months ago and I saw this thing hanging on the wall. It had the Schaller pickups, had all the original stuff, original case. And I figured this is a cool find for like $1,300, right? Ebony fretboard, beautiful inlays. The radius of the neck is rather flat. I've got a measure, I can check it out over there later on. But I believe it's around 10 radius. I put 2 Tom Holmes pickups, the humbucker pickups from back in the 90s. I put those in here. I got some Tone Pro replacement ABR, and they fit perfectly. Now when I put these pickups in, these pickups were not made to split the coil, so this is kind of rendered useless, although maybe it's opening a garage in like Poughkeepsie someplace. Tone controls are very interesting. There's like a little notch in the middle that I think it's like zero sum, like in the middle EQ. Where it's like super active, but it also boosts the volume some too. Which is, I find, quite usable. The guitar is, like I said, was a spruce top, so it resonates really good. Set neck. The necks are awesome. They're flat. They're super fast necks. You can get the action really low on them. Now, to put these pickups in here, I kind of had to put these little indention, little dowels underneath just to make sure all the screws actually had something to anchor into, because they weren't quite the same size as your standard humbucker. So you can still find these up there. Now this one also, if you notice, does not say Robben Ford on the headstock, and I've never been a big fan of signature line anythings, except for Leo Fenders on the headstock. This must have been one of the first ones made, because it's before they had his name on it. So I think they just made these. They were making a series of master build guitars by Fender. They were trying to maybe compete with Gibson, or maybe at least grab a little of that market. But bottom line is that you can still find these in Japan, and they start anywhere from around $1,000. If they're tiger stripe, you know, nice finish, and they have the humbuckers and Robben Ford's name on them, I've seen them go for like $12,000, or just a crazy amount of money. So that's kind of weird to me. I don't know why some of them would be so much more than other ones. And they all, I think, sound pretty darn great. They're pretty consistent. But we'll get the nice ebony fretboard and swap out for some good electronics. The quality of these guitars are really awesome. I mean, these tuning keys are super elegant and super smooth. Whoever designed this just said, hey man, we're going all out. We're going to do the good stuff in every place in this guitar, because it's just truly a solid, quality feeling guitar. It's quirky, it takes a little, but it feels nice once you're on it. It's got a nice cutaway. It's got a great little cutaway in the back, so it totally hangs really comfortable. Much more comfortable than a 335, not as big. Pick one of these up. They're definitely affordable, and they're definitely great. Fender Ultra Esprit.